Somehow I girl bossed myself straight into overcommitment. Today we are quadrupling the number of books that I read in February with a March TBR. Also slightly new angle. I think it's fun. I think it's fresh. I think it's funky. The theme of the day, the name of the game is book clubs and buddy reads. Maybe that's the thumbnail. Book clubs, buddy reads, also backlist. And in March, it's just like book clubs, which is fun because some of them are mine and some of them are my friends and some are ones that I just want to participate in this month for funsies because of the FOMO and the vibes. Very first on the tippy top of the list is my book club, Hot Girl Book Club, otherwise known as Hot Dog Book Club over on Instagram. I still have to finish the February pick, which was Shallow Waters. The live show is in 2 days from now on Wednesday the 9th with Jayla from Lala Loves Lit. So that's like a bonus TBR because I read 2 books in February and there's a little bit of carryover. Doesn't matter, we are blazing forward. And then also the actual pick for March for Hot Girl Book Club is Olga Dies Dreaming by Xochitl Gonzalez. And my guest hosts for this pick, which will be the first Wednesday in April when we'll be discussing this, are the duo of Brujas and Books, Naomi from Naomi's Library and Cami from Burrows and Books. And I'm very excited to hear what they think of this book, what they have to say about this book. This mainly follows 2 Puerto Rican siblings in New York City in 2017 surrounding Hurricane Maria. And one sibling is this like legendary elite wedding planner and the other sibling is this like local congressman for this neighborhood that's being gentrified. And so they have these like very publicly prominent public lives, but I guess behind the scenes there's a lot of family drama and tension, and she feels like, the sister feels like, okay, I keep organizing these weddings but I can't find my own love story, and then she meets someone and it uncovers a lot of like family history regarding their mother, and all of the while there's like a hurricane going on in Puerto Rico, which is like threatening their family, their well-being, and their roots and history. And very excited to read this, which is something that you're gonna hear me say a lot this video. So the little teaser and story graph says, Olga Dies Dreaming is a story that examines political corruption, familial strife, and the very notion of the American dream, all while asking what it really means to weather a storm. Can't wait. And then also for Found in Translation, which is the monthly book club that I host with Annie of Annie's Book Nook and Brittany from Literarily Smitten, where every month we pick a different book translated from a different language, from an author from a different country around the world. And our pick for March, Strange Beasts of China by Yan Ji. And I'm thinking this is maybe a short story collection, I don't know, or they're interwoven stories, but it does say a novel. And this book was given to me by Christine and Mo of the Roomies Digest, and I still have their little card in here when they drove up from LA to give me a book and cookies for their like Santa delivery video that makes me smile and giggle every time I think about it. Love them so much. Thank you, Christine and Mo. Again, you're wonderful. This is translated in part from Mandarin and Sichuanese, and the author is Chinese. And this follows this very interesting premise that says, in the city of Yongan, an amateur cryptozoologist is commissioned to uncover the stories of its fabled beasts. These creatures live alongside humans, nearly inconspicuous, save for their greenish skin, serrated earlobes, and strange birthmarks. Aided by her elusive former professor and his enigmatic assistant, our narrator sets off to document each beast and is slowly drawn deeper into a mystery that threatens her very sense of self. Part detective story, part psychological inquiry, Strange Beasts of China explores existential questions of identity, humanity, love, and morality with whimsy and stylistic verve. Let's say less. I'm pretty confident in saying that I think I'm going to love this. Like, I haven't put out a 5-star predictions video this year, but if I had, this would be on it. You heard it here first. And then something I'm very excited for and also kind of nervous for is that I am the lucky co-host of Jan Agaton's Full Moon Book Club for the month of March. And the March full moon is the 18th. So we will be doing the book live show discussion on March 18th, where we will be reading and discussing A Special Place for Women. Let me tell you, I'm so intrigued and so excited, especially in like a book club format, to read this book, but also I've heard some scathing reviews and very little good hype for this book, but also it does sound like something that I would just like absolutely devour and love. So it really could go either way. This is a little bit culty, a little bit satirical, a little bit secret society, New York City girl boss vibes, which is a lot of my favorite things. And I'm really hoping that the satire is laid on thick, because otherwise I think it could be like white feminism cringy, you know what I mean? But it's about this journalist who goes undercover to like infiltrate this notorious like secret society for women in New York City that like it's rumored that they handpicked the mayor of New York City, and they have like a lot of power, and membership dues are really expensive every month just to be part of this like secret society in Manhattan. So she goes undercover to try and like break into them and get this like juicy journalism scoop. But what happens? Like, what's the deeper story? Is it like a dangerous secret society? Is it actually a cult? Like, what's going on? I could love it. Also, it's equally possible that I could hate it. So hop on board for the Full Moon Book Club this month if you want to find out what that ends up being. And then, in case 3 book clubs that I was co-hosting or hosting wasn't enough, I also was graciously asked by Mollie from Mind of Mollie to co-host the Anti-Social Book Club with her in the month of March. And so Mollie asked me to send them a bunch of books that were on like my TBR or my like anticipated reads kind of a thing. And then they picked a bunch from my list that they were also interested in and put that on the Instagram. And then all of the like book club readers and followers chose which book we actually will be reading, and the decision was The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, which, listen, this is maybe the prettiest cover I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life, first of all. Second of all, I got this secondhand from my favorite used local bookstore. Third, not only is it gorgeous already, it just so happens to be the signed special Owl Crate edition, which has these lovely end pages. Okay, what the heck? And also the lady herself. And it also came with this little like print of the cover and an entire letter from the author, like in addition to the acknowledgments. This was like in the special Owl Crate edition, and I got it for $12. But as for like the book itself, I'm so excited to read this. This is another one that my friend Annie from Annie's Book Nook, I've heard her rave and rave about how much she loves this book, and it sounds good. It has all of my favorite ingredients. It's a YA sci-fi dystopian story about these like long lost sisters, I think, one of which is trapped on this like isolated island, and she doesn't remember how she got there. She knows that she has a long lost sister, and she dedicates her days to just like surviving and trying to build a raft or a boat or something to get her off the island, which is just one of my favorite like plots, tropes, stories in general, is this like remote survival island kind of a feel. It just gives me big Lost vibes, which was such a show that I loved back in the day, and Castaway, I don't know, for some reason that plot just really gets me. But then it also says that in a world apart, 16-year-old STEM prodigy Casey is also living a life of isolation. The eco-city that she calls home is one of 8 levitating around the world, built for people who protect the planet, and now needs protecting from it. With natural disasters on the rise due to climate change, eco-cities provide clean air, water, and shelter, etc., etc. So that's what makes it like dystopian, and also mystery, and also women and girls in STEM, and also survival, and also sisters. Again, low-key 5-star prediction. Maybe I should just film a 5-star prediction video. Anyways, excited to read this and chat about this with Mollie for the Antisocial Book Club. And then there are 2 book clubs maybe more like buddy reads that I'm hoping to have the time to dive into this month, you know, because I just don't have enough to do or enough to read. The first is I really want to read the Poppy War trilogy with the Fantaseries book club, which some of my friends co-host together, and they just read different fantasy series together with their book club and Discord every couple of months. And the series that was most recently voted on was the Poppy War trilogy, and the first book they read in February, and I think the live show is next week, like the 13th, and it's a Sunday, so I'll be at work. So I'm hoping to read the first and second books in time for like maybe the second live show next month. The Poppy War I've just been wanting to get to for so long, and I'm just intimidated because 1, it has such beloved hype around it, and 2, I know it's a dark and gritty fantasy about war and brutality and doesn't pull its punches. It has like literally every trigger warning under the sun, and so I think I will feel more comfortable reading it in like a group setting where there's a lot of discussion and people like reading ahead, and I can read like as the chat is going to kind of almost like prepare myself for where the book is going or what the like upcoming content warnings might be. But also it's just, again, I'm like so tired of being in the FOMO pond for the Poppy War, and I just want to be in the pond where everyone has read it and loves it, which feels like a much bigger pond. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. Actually, I do, and you'll see in a second. And then the real toss-up for buddy reads in March is that some of my friends on this lovely platform did a spicy buddy read of Den of Vipers last month, and it was so much fun to watch because they did a bunch of like reading sprints where they were all reading Den of Vipers together and kind of live reacting as they were going, reading this like very spicy TikTok favorite. While I'm not exactly sad that I did not read Den of Vipers because I don't think any of them loved it very much, and I don't think I would love it, they decided to keep that going and keep up the spicy buddy read, and this month they've decided to read Credence by Penelope Douglas, which I don't know if I will like, but to be completely honest, but I am down for a spicy buddy read. Just everyone has such strong opinions about this book, and I don't read a lot of dark romance like this. I don't even know if this is considered dark romance, or is this just like romance? Someone who's better versed in this, let me know, because romance is really not my expertise, but I would like to dabble a little bit more than I have recently dabbled. So Credence, it's isolated setting, reverse harem, smutty romance about this young girl who goes to stay with her step uncle and step cousins, and sexy things happen, I have heard. But you didn't expect that I would be reading this in March, but I'm putting it on the list, so we'll see. Tune back in April. And then my last buddy read, my last buddy read officially for the month of March is with my friend Brittany, who is the co-host of the Her Storyathon readathon that she helped put together for the month of March, where they're focusing on a lot of like women in history for Women's History Month. And I'm going to try and read their group book along with everyone else involved in the readathon, which is The Women's History of the Modern World by Rosalind Miles. And the subtitle is How Radicals, Rebels, and Every Woman Revolutionized the last 200 years. And this sounds good. This is one of 2 nonfiction on my TBR this month, and I think it'll be really fun to like annotate. I'm hoping to get my physical copy in the mail soon because I want to just like absorb and soak in all of these really cool like rebel women and movers and shakers of the last couple of centuries that have left their mark on history, whose names I may or may not know, and then discuss all of those things with the other people who are reading for the Her Storyathon. Sounds like a good time to me, you know? I love good Women's History Month dedicated read. And then lastly, the last chunk of this TBR is going to be for the backlist readathon hosted by my lovely pal Sydney from Sid Bookworm. And I don't know how much I will actually get through this because of course the priority is to get through all of my committed book clubs. But the backlist book club, backlist readathon, can you tell where my brain is at this month? The backlist readathon is happening the last week of March. What are the dates? March 21st through March 27th. So that last like full week of March, which is great because that's the last full normal week that I will have in my job before we have a really crazy couple of weeks in my job. So I'm hoping to have like a dedicated and happy, cozy week of reading backlist books before I have to like switch gears and be like all hands on deck for a couple weeks at work. But the point of the backlist readathon is just to read books that you've had on your radar or had on your TBR or you've owned for a while or have been published for a while and you just haven't gotten around to picking them up. So I put together a little listy list for my backlist readathon prompts. All of the info, of course, for all of the things I mentioned, but also the backlist readathon will be linked below with all of the prompts and stuff. And the first one is to read a backlist with your favorite color on the cover. And my favorite color is yellow, which I'm just now also realizing is a little extra transparent today. I love yellow. And I'm going to be picking up again Word Slut by Amanda Montell. I've started this. I read the first like couple of chapters, so I'm gonna dive back in and try and finish this off this month. This is a feminist guide to taking back the English language. She's also the author of Cultish, which was my favorite nonfiction that I read last year. It has become like most of my personality at this point. Every time, this is so sweet and please keep doing this. Every time anyone that I know picks up Cultish, they text me about it and say that they're about to start it. And I love that so much. Please keep doing that. So this is actually her first book that she wrote and published before Cultish. And I can't wait. I loved what I read about it so far, or read of it so far, especially for like Women's History Month. It just makes sense. And the next prompt for the backlist readathon is to read a backlist that intimidates you. Now, I'm not gonna say it. Don't make me say it, because we all know which backlist book intimidates me, and I'm embarrassed, so I'm not gonna say it again, but you know what it is, and it may or may not be in my wrap up next month. The next one is to read your shortest book on your TBR, or your backlist TBR, and this is Pond by Claire Louise Bennett. I picked this up recently-ish from, again, my local used bookstore. It's gorgeous, and I was thinking in my brain that it was released more recently than it was, but I think this actually came out in 2015. This is one that has been like living in my mind rent-free, as the kids say, because it sounds perfect for me. Where it's short, it's interesting, and it's very weird, and just centers on the life of this unnamed female protagonist who's just living her life, but the narrative sounds like it's going to be a very unique and strange storytelling experience. I'm just gonna read you the back really quick because I won't be able to do it justice otherwise. An unnamed young woman, wry, somewhat misanthropic, and keenly observant, chronicles her life on the outskirts of a small coastal village. Sidestepping the usual conventions of narrative, the woman ruminates on the charms of bananas and oatcakes in the morning and Spanish oranges after sex. The small pleasures and anxieties of throwing a party, exchanging salacious emails with a new lover, sitting in the bath as it storms outside. Broken oven knobs prompt a meditation on survival that's both haunting and playful. A sunset walk leads to an unsettling encounter with a herd of cows. The discovery of an old letter recalls an impossible affair. As her persona emerges in all its particularity, sometimes painfully and often hilariously, we cannot help seeing mirrored there our own fraught longings, our own fugitive desire, despite everything, to be known. Like, it was written for me. This book said Noelle specifically is going to read and enjoy this book. And it's very small and the margins are gigantic. It's going on the list. The next prompt is to read a backlist that you recently hauled. And okay, I guess this is the third nonfiction because this is a memoir, Eat a Peach by David Chang, who is the master chef, Michelin star chef of Momofuku fame, who is also like the creator and producer of the Ugly Delicious Netflix documentary series that Wes and I have been recently binging. And I also have this on audiobook from the library. I recently hauled this in an Instagram post, I think. And this came out recently, but not super recently. Okay, 2020. So it's like not very backlist, but kinda. It's been a long time since I read like a good memoir, period. I don't think I've read a memoir in a few months. But also I'm in such like a cooking show mood, and I love a food memoir, and I love learning about food and chefs and the like hospitality industry, and I'm just really hoping that this scratches that itch because I'm just in such the foodie mindset right now. So recent haul, backlist, and also it's an audiobook. So trying to prepare for success with this one. And speaking of audiobooks, the next prompt is to read a backlist that was recommended to you. And for this one, I also got the audiobook in from my library recently for The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And this is one that has come through my loans and then lapsed, and then I've put it on hold again, and then it lapses, and I'm determined to finally just get through it this time. I don't really know what it's about, except that one of my good friends in real life read it and said it was one of the best books that she's ever read. And that's enough for me. Like when people in my life outside of book internet read a book that they think I would like, I'll read it. So I'm determined to read it so that I can talk to her about like, oh my God, I read it, let's talk about it. Because I want her to know that I'm like excited that she's excited, and I'm so excited that she thinks I will like it. So I've heard pretty good things, but I am going in without really knowing anything. And I think it'll be fun to do that. And the bonus prompt for backlist is to read a book of the month backlist. And I have not had book of the month in over a year now, but I do still have some that I have unread from when I had book of the month. And I think what I'm gonna pick for this one, if I get to it, is Outlawed by Anna North. And this had a lot of buzz, like over a year ago. I think it was like January 2021. This was everywhere. And then I saw it get a lot of mixed reviews, and then I've never seen it again. So I'm intrigued to make my own opinion of this one. I know this is like a gender bent Wild West, or just like a female driven Western, featuring an irresistibly no nonsense, courageous and determined heroine. Outlawed dusts off the myth of the Old West and reignites the glimmering promise of the frontier with an entirely new set of feminist stakes. Anna North has crafted a pulse-racing, page-turning saga about the search for hope in the wake of death and for truth in a climate of small-mindedness and fear. It sounds interesting. It's pretty short, and I just wanna check it off the list. There's not many book of the month books that I still have unread from back in the day, so eager to get to this one too. Plus, I love the cover, and I'm so down for a feminist Western. I just hope it delivers because I'm a little bit nervous about it, but we'll see. I think that's everything. I feel like I've been filming forever. This might be a long TBR for what it is. Oh, this is a good time to mention that as of right now, I don't think I'm going to post a TBR for April because I have a very big secret project that I want to dedicate April to, like reading those books for. I said that strangely, but you know what I mean. So besides my book clubs, Found in Translation and Hot Girl Book Club, I don't think I'll be posting a TBR or reading anything like outside of my project in those books, which my announcement for my next 3 picks for Hot Girl Book Club, April, May, June, is also going up this week on Thursday. Back to my 2 uploads in a week, who am I? And my April pick for Found in Translation with Brittany and Annie is The Iraqi Nights by Dunya Mikhail, which is a poetry collection translated from Arabic because April is National Poetry Month. So we'll be reading that with all of the people from Found in Translation, and that live show will be back on my channel also. So a couple of books for book club. Also, actually 2 secret projects. One will be less secret very soon, and one will be a secret for a few months. But it's gonna be a good time, and I'm very much looking forward to going through it. Okay, thank you so much for watching this long and rambly and smiley TBR. Let me know what your reading plans are. Do you have any fun book clubs or buddy reads or readathons that you're participating in? Because that's what my entire reading diet is for the month of March, is book clubs, buddy reads, and readathons. Also, let me know if you have any thoughts or feelings or poetry about any of the books in this video. Otherwise, I hope you are well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon. Love you, bye.